Welcome back to the Sports Source, the segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. Termites, carpenter bees, mosquitoes, ants. They're the spring and summer pests that can do everything from ruining a cookout to ruining your whole home. The remedy is just a quick phone call to Southeast Termite and Pest Control. They have clients all over East Tennessee, all over the map. I'm one of them, and I can't recommend them highly enough. They do great work at my house. They do great work all across East Tennessee, and they've been doing great work for East Tennesseans all the way back to 1971, 50 years, 50 plus years. SoutheastTermite.com to learn more about this great family-owned, locally owned business. All right, Tennessee basketball has brought in 3 players via the transfer portal this offseason. I've been showing you their names on graphics for the last month. I'm not going to do it again today. You know who they are. But they brought in 3 more guys, but they lost 3 graduates and 4 more guys into the portal. So as it stands, they've still got 3 scholarship slots available. It appears they're in a wait for North Florida guard Chaz Lanier. Now, he's going through the NBA process. Nobody thinks he's going to stay in the draft. But for now, he's sticking in there. The problem, it looked like Tennessee and I think Maryland was the other team that was in there. Now that list is growing to include Kentucky. And Kentucky has a lot of NIL dollars as they try and help Mark Pope, their new coach, build a roster. The question is, should Rick Barnes be grabbing somebody? I mean, he runs tough practices. You got depth issues. Do you want to go into a season with 3 open scholarships? Or if you grab somebody, does that mean you're not going to get Lanier? Or do you just wait, play it out? Hey, we'll grab somebody. If we don't get Lanier, then we'll grab somebody else. Is Rick Barnes doing the right thing here by just playing the waiting game at the moment, Vince?
I think so. The waiting game in terms of the portal and maybe bigger names and being a finalist for different players, I think Lanier is the guy. He can be a difference maker for this team, in my opinion. I mean, a 3-level scorer, gets to the rim, drives to the basket, which is something else that they really need. I think he's fantastic. And I think what Tennessee is doing is they are putting their eggs in the Lanier basket, but they're still working on late process situations. Rick Barnes said at the Big Orange Caravan, late in the game, they've been really good at bringing in new players.
Right.
And that is something, whether it's from Europe, whether it's guys under the radar. I think they'll continue to do that, and that's their backup plan, and they've been really good at it. So I think they're playing it just fine.
Chuck.
I just think that's the way he's going to play it. And I kind of, the longer it goes, the longer it drags out, the more I start to wonder if it's going to be the announcement Tennessee fans are hoping for. I just get a little bit,
Once year Kentucky's involved. And
they
got a huge.
If it's Maryland or something, let's go head to head. But, that doesn't bother me. But it's like, how long is it going to take to get the NBA evaluation?
It's May 29th, isn't it? Isn't it the end of May when they pull their name out?
That's their deadline to pull it out, but this coming week is a combine. So I think it could be sooner than that.
I'm saying
could be, but I'm saying it could drag it. He has when you have to.
So I'm just saying, hey, we want you. You're a great player that thinks it's going to be a great fit. It's going to be a one and done pretty much anyway.
This
correct?
is one where you got to keep your powder dry. You just got to sit there and wait, play it out.
Let it play out, and then you've got a plan B. And if you have to turn to that, turn to that.
Hey, if they don't get Lanier, I do think they'll add somebody late. And the reason why I don't think it's a big deal to not fill all those spots is Rick Barnes oftentimes, I don't think, gives his young players enough early playing time in a season to where maybe they can't contribute as much later in the year. This might be a way to maybe force them to trust some of those guys early on, or there's fewer that don't get the
only thing I don't like about it is we always talk about they have a tendency, it seems, to wear down a little bit toward the end of the year. They didn't this year, they made it to the Elite Eight. But do they wear down because he runs a tough practice ship over there? They practice hard. I don't want to see, we went in with lesser guys this year and 2 guys snapped their ankles, so now we're screwed.
Right.
Because you don't have the depth. But one interesting thing here, C.J. Moore of The Athletic was asked this week, who are the top 5 teams in the nation in terms of rosters as they stand right now? He listed 5 teams, but he said there are 5 more that are in the running, and Tennessee's one of them. So as of today, without Chaz Lanier, at least this writer, and it's, to me, how do you say this when you haven't seen Milicic, Dubar, and Okpara on this team together? But he's saying that's one of the top 10 rosters in the country already. So that would tell you to calm down a little bit, or tell me to calm down a little bit. But here's what's interesting. If it comes down to Kentucky versus Tennessee, and remember, when Calipari left, there was all the talk of all these boosters are coming together and throwing big bucks into the kitty so Mark Pope can go get guys. So they're going to have a ton of money to spend. The Athletic asked 5 different college basketball insiders. That's 2 coaches. I think there was an NIL guy, et cetera, to tell them what the going rate was for a starting basketball player, an all-conference level player, an all-American level player. I took what those 5 guys said money-wise and averaged it out. And here's what it is. Your starter gets about $250,000 and up. An all-conference player gets $650,000 and up. Starting is about $650,000. All-American player, that's $1 million and up.
Wow.
Now, if that's what it costs, and you're in a bidding war with Kentucky, who's pooled all their resources, they spend more on basketball than you do because they don't spend as much on football as you do. I don't like my chances of going head-to-head in a shooting match with somebody that's got more bullets than me. And I think Kentucky's got more cash right now.
Alabama got a transfer from Rutgers that supposedly one other school offered him $2 million, but he still picked Alabama. So I think you got to be competitive. Yeah. It's not necessarily all to the highest bidder. It's competitive. You can't just be way off the radar. There's
truth in that. Yeah. But at the same time, do you want to get into a bidding war with Kentucky?
No, I mean, you're not going to compete with it. I'm not saying they would win that competition.
Right.
I'm just saying
it's not a definite you lose in.
What's the gap?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they've got some cash hanging around there and they're going to outbid Kentucky. When Kentucky comes out and says we've all pooled together a huge chunk to help our new basketball coach, I just think they're going to spend more on basketball than anybody else in the SEC not named Arkansas.
Yeah. Right. I think that was exactly what I was going to say. That's who they're looking at, too.
All right. When we come back, the Tennessee baseball team is back on the top of the polls. But how does this team compare to Tony Vitello's last few squads? We'll ask Vince, and we'll that next. Coming back on the Sports Source.